Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of January, 2023, and this is the Cluster API Community Project meeting. Cluster API is a sub-project of the Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their community guidelines, which essentially means, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and I'll call on you. And please treat each other kindly as well. We try to maintain decorum here. So with that, we'll start the meeting. At the beginning of our meetings, we always take some time to welcome new members of the community. So if this is your first meeting or you haven't introduced yourself before, please feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself and say hi to the community.
Yeah, hello, I guess that's me. I'm Volodya Wendland. I'm based in Scotland in UK, and I work for cloud hosting and cloud company called Wavecon in Germany, and we're using Cluster API to stand up a couple of clusters and are simply interested as to what's going on in the community and how we can contribute if we run into issues.
Welcome. And just your name is Volodya. Did I say that correctly?
Volodya, yeah, exactly. Cheers.
Awesome. Welcome aboard. Amit, you're up next.
Yeah, so this is Amit Sahasrabudhe, based out of Pune, India. I'm working in Spectro Cloud and willing to contribute here in the copy.
That's awesome. Welcome aboard, Amit.
Yeah, thanks.
I see you unmuted, Alessandro. Did you want to say hi?
Yeah. The first thing that I need to tell is I probably don't know how to use Zoom because I didn't find a raised hand, but I will. So hello there, I'm Alessandro. I actually observed the last meeting, but I was AFK, so I couldn't actually introduce myself. I work in AWS EKS. I have a few colleagues in the meeting. I work on the local EKS local outposts where we use copy, and also have a lot of interaction with EKS anywhere. And yeah, I'm keen to learn a bit more about the community and try to help as I get familiarized with it.
Awesome. Welcome aboard, Alessandro.
Thank you.
So I don't see any other hands going up or other people unmuting. So I'll give us one last call here. All righty, we're going to move on to the next part. So next we do open proposal readouts. And I don't remember if we had any open right now. No, there are no open proposals. So we'll keep going past that. So discussion topics. It looks like Killian, you've got the first one about adding variable discovery. So,
sorry, Mike. Just before moving to topic, I just received some requests from people trying to access the meeting notes. Just a reminder that if you want to access the meeting minutes, you have to subscribe to the SIG Cluster Lifecycle mailing list. I put the link in the chat.
Cool. Thank you, Fabrizio. Yeah, that's a good public service announcement. And if anyone is having trouble, please type something in chat, and hopefully we can help get you solved there. So with that, I guess Killian, would you like to take it away?
Sure. Could you open this link? It's okay just to. So some context around this. So this is an amendment to the topology mutation hook proposal that we merged last year. So basically what this does with cluster classes, we introduced inline patches and inline variables in cluster classes that allow you to define patches and variables to make changes to individual clusters based on different conditions, different variables set in the cluster. With the runtime hook, or with runtime SDK and the topology mutation hook proposal, we introduced external patches. So it allowed you to write your patches in code. We have a Go SDK for it. The reconcilers will call out to it, and then your patches are testable. You can do a lot more in external patches because the inline patches are limited to JSON patching. So this is an evolution of that proposal, which allows you to also define your variables in your external component that's doing the patching. So it allows your variables and patches to be defined in a single place. It requires a call to discover the variables. So from the cluster class reconciler out to the external component, but it still allows users to set values for these variables in their cluster. So you individually are able to mutate your clusters, even though they all rely on the same cluster class, based on external patches with external variables. So yeah, this is an amendment to the proposal. It's across 2 docs because of the way the runtime SDK and topology mutation hook ended up. I think there's 2 things here I want to draw attention to. They're kind of related. One is that currently inline variables are the only way to supply variables into patches. So today, inline variables are used in external patches. The idea here to simplify the implementation is that external variables would be linked to specific external patches, and inline variables would be linked to inline patches. So inline variable definitions would no longer link to external definitions, which is an incompatibility with what we currently have. But given that this is all in alpha, I think it's okay. And the other thing then is that we are going to namespace these variable definitions just in order to link to their origin so that we've clashes in terms of the naming. But I think, yeah, I've gone into a lot of detail. I think the important thing is that I would really like to get eyes on the proposal from the community, especially from people who kind of have experience using either internal patches or our runtime SDK. And yeah, hopefully we can move forward, but I'd really like to get some eyes to review this.
Cool, sounds good. Does anybody have questions or comments for Killian about this? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Oh, Fabrizio raised his hand. Go ahead, Fabrizio.
Yeah, just not a comment. First of all, thanks and shout out to Killian to taking over this work. I think that it really makes sense. We are making runtime extension self-contained. This will, at the end, this will allow people to ensure quality of cluster class and to build very robust testing about a cluster class. So you can test and prevent rollout. You can make sure that any change does not have impact on the customer, on the user, etc., etc. So I think that is really one missing piece of the puzzle. I really encourage everyone taking a look and provide feedback.
Cool, thank you. And yeah, I see in the chat as well, Stefan's given a little shout out to Killian as well. So good, you know, some nice kudos here. If other folks in the community could take a look at this PR and, you know, read it and leave comments, even if you just say it looks okay, that would be really helpful. Okay, next topic. Okay, I also wanted to give a shout out to Killian and Fabrizio for a little bit of different work. You probably, I'm guessing a lot of people in the community haven't seen this, but Fabrizio and Killian have put up a bunch of patches to the KubeMark provider recently, really just raising the bar of the quality of the code there, adding more tests, you know, just making it work a little better with our current mainline cluster API code. So, you know, I just want to say thank you, Killian and Fabrizio. It's been great having the two of you help out there. So thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead, Fabrizio.
Yeah, I just want to also in this case add a little bit of context. So why we are doing this work? KubeMark provider provide a lightweight solution for testing cluster API in the sense that it consumes very few resources. And what we want to use this about is 2 things. First of all, is test to set up an end-to-end test for cluster API with the autoscaler. So we have a upstream signal about the integration of cluster API with the autoscaler, which is are things that many users are relying on. and we want a senior about it. The second is that, which is a more longer-term objective, is that as of today, we don't have a good signal for running cluster API at scale. And we learned in the past that if you run cluster API in scale, there could be some scaling issue, memory leaks, stuff like that. And so we would like to get those stuff to have some signal about running cluster API on a scale on 2 dimensions, which are number of cluster and number of machines that we have to handle. And we see in the KubeMark provider a good opportunity to get there. I think that both goals are valuable for everyone in the community. So yeah, I encourage everyone that is interested in improving the quality of the entire project and with regard to autoscaling integration and performance at scale, yeah, to take a look or reach out about this work.
Yeah, and thanks for adding that extra context, Fabrizio. I think the scale testing is really important work, and my hope too is that we would be able to use this in pre-submit testing on the cluster autoscaler as well. And I know that's something that community is also curious about. So this, I think it's just great to have some help there, and thank you so much. So next topic, Richard, talking about LFX Spring Mentorship Program. Take it away, Richard.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's just basically to bring attention that the LFX Spring Mentorship Program has opened up as of yesterday for projects to submit proposals for mentorship in this spring period. If you want to submit a proposal, you need to get it in by the 31st of January. So it would be good to get, I guess, providers and maybe Core CAPI on that mentorship program. CAPG did this last year, and it was really, really valuable. So we've submitted a proposal again for this year, and it's just, I guess it's great on two parts. Number one is providing the mentorship to people that will then continue on to contribute to the project, and that's really valuable in growing the next generation of contributors to the project. But also, as the person doing the mentoring, it really helps you grow your skills as well. So yeah, really encourage people to think about that. And there's a link down there to the sample proposal.
Very cool. And yeah, these mentorship programs are an awesome way to connect with new people coming into the community and more junior members. And like Richard was saying, it's just a great way to build things out. So if anyone out there, any other providers have thoughts about doing this, I guess maybe reach out to Richard online or check out some of the materials we have here. And you got about another week and a half to get these things in, another 10 days or so. So very cool. Thanks for bringing that forward, Richard. And it looks like Kappa will be submitting as well. Cool. Okay, so let's go on to the provider updates at this point. All right, Jonathan, I'm going to get this wrong, but CAAPH, is that our Apache? Or I guess this is new. So why don't you take it away and tell us about it? Is Jonathan here? I guess.
I think Jonathan's not here.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I got the official repo finally migrated. So there it is. The acronym is just something I came up with and it kind of stuck. I'm open to suggestions, but I just figured if we did CAPA, it should seem like a cloud provider. So I wanted to differentiate that. But yeah, so the repo is here. Did want to share that for now. We're probably planning on using this meeting to discuss stuff related to the add-on provider. So that way it's easier to keep everybody in sync about what's going on. I know some folks are thinking about getting a separate meeting, but if we have the critical mass, we can do that. But for now, I'm cool with meeting here. And besides that, I'm working on setting up a lot of the proud jobs so we can get some PR validation. I have this gigantic PR that copies like almost all of the CAPI scripts, so I'm gonna start trucking through that. But yeah, get excited. The add-on thing is here, it's happening.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is really cool. It's amazing to see, and like, yeah, awesome work. I guess is like, if a call out, is there any call out to the community here, or just kind of if people want, check it out and reach out to you to get involved?
Yeah, for now, it's just want to share that's here. I'm working on getting everything set up so it can function like a normal K8s repo. But yeah, if you have any questions, ping me on Slack or speak up in this meeting as well. That's
awesome.
All for me.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That's cool. All right, Jack, you're up next with some CAPZ updates.
Yeah, real quick call out. 1.7 actually landed last week. Thanks for clicking through release notes. It's a pretty big release. Go check it out if you're a CAPZ user. And then I wanted to add a note about AKS graduation. We call those Azure Managed Cluster, Azure Managed Control Planes in CAPZ land. So AKS support has graduated from experimental in this development cycle. So that will ship with 1.8.0 in 7 weeks time or thereabouts. And an important note about that is if you are currently shepherding a PR in the CAPZ queue, you'll notice a new AKS test, which yesterday had to undergo a little bit of surgery to get it working, but it's now working. So apologies to anyone who's had their PRs delayed a day or two, but that's it.
Cool. Yeah, like some very deep release notes. So anyone who's using CAPZ, definitely go read through those and see what's changed and if you need to do anything there. Okay, so we'll move on then to the feature group updates. And the first one up is the alternative communications patterns feature group. Richard, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, it's just to follow up on a message I put in Slack. So we're trying to arrange the first meeting of the alternative communication patterns feature group. So that's just looking at things like reverse proxy support. So yeah, there's doodle there. There's some times for next week. Please vote, and then we'll close it at the end of the week and arrange the first meeting next week. But yeah, just to follow on what Fabrizio said last week, it will follow the usual feature group format. So there is a document with meeting notes, and there will be updates as well on a regular basis.
And I guess forgive me for being a little out of touch here, but I am not familiar with the alternative communication patterns feature group. Could you maybe give a little background?
Yeah, and I'll put the link in here as well, which is the feature group PR. But essentially, it is to look at alternatives to the current communication pattern, which assumes that the management cluster has direct connectivity to all of the child clusters, and it can initiate that connection. Whereas a lot of companies don't allow that scenario where one thing can connect to all of the other clusters, and they prefer a reverse communication patterns where the child cluster initiates the connection back to the management cluster, and then the operations are performed. So it's really to look at that and whether that is actually possible. It's really quite an interesting thread on Slack as well, where people are currently doing this using the kubeadm provider with the pre and post kubeadm commands to deploy reverse proxy and connect backwards. So yeah, it's been interesting. I'll add that link in there now as well for extra context.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That's cool. Yeah, it sounds very interesting, and I guess like you got to put your networking cap on when you come to that discussion, right? All right, cool. And then to bring us home here. Oh, wait, I see a hand up. Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious, Richard, are disconnected scenarios and IoT and that kind of thing part of the user story portfolio for what you're trying to solve?
Yeah, so that is one of the use cases. So there are a couple of those. There is this all started with one issue, which was I think Nadir raised it around disjointed networks. So yeah, that is one of the use cases.
Cool. So I think if you didn't make that connection, and if you're interested in that, this could potentially greatly ease those scenarios for you. So.
All right,
thanks
cool.
to whomever's taking notes. Yeah, and I can do just a brief call out for managed Kubernetes. Thanks, Mike. We met this morning briefly, and thanks to Richard for adding content to our draft proposal doc. So I'm going to try to make these discussions super lightweight and short on Wednesdays, and prefer async. So we'll get better and better at that. So just a call out if you're interested in managed Kubernetes and CAPI. Debate is happening.
All right, cool. Yeah, and that is that's also another interesting it's cool to see the feature groups kind of growing here and stuff, because these are some interesting efforts. So if you're new to the community, or if you're someone who likes to kind of look at emerging technology, or you like to get into what's on the bleeding edge, some of these feature groups are looking at stuff that's just really cool. So yeah, I would recommend anyone, even if you're just curious, to listen. It's sometimes some great content and really good questions going back and forth there. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of our meeting. Although I see Stefan is typing more in the regular discussion topics. So yeah, Stefan, do you want to talk about bumping the Go version?
Yes. I would have raised my hand if you wouldn't have noticed.
All right, once you're done typing.
Yeah, I'm done typing. Okay, so I don't know who's on that mailing list and already got the mail. I think it's like the normal Kubernetes one. So essentially, upstream Kubernetes is so they're supporting releases for a long time, and the latest two minor releases in Kubernetes which are still in support are 124 and 123. And for the reasoning laid out in this document, basically CVs, they will bump the Go version in 1.23 and 1.24, which is something which, as far as I know, wasn't done before. For people who are interested, just read the email, but I just want to already give like a small information already. We're taking a closer look at all of that, figure out yeah, essentially what we could do, what the impact would be, and then we'll bring it up again, maybe probably next week. It could be interesting for cluster API because our current supported versions are 1.3 and 1.2, and 1.2 is still using 1.18. So we might want to consider bumping cluster API 1.2 or 1.2 branch to using Go 1.19 as well. But I guess it depends on a few factors, and I'd have to do more investigation before suggesting anything.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, Stefan. And I think, yeah, like to me, the toughest parts of this, or the more complicated parts, are going to be going back and updating our older releases to use those versions of Go. You know, like you said, like 124 and 123 are also being updated to Go 1.19. So yeah, a little bit of complication just to coordinate it all there.
Yep. Yeah, the most relevant part for us essentially, it would be relatively easy from a core cluster perspective to just bump the version. That's not that much effort. The interesting thing is what will happen to people who are actually consuming our Go code if they adopt I don't know, 1.2.10 or whatever our next version is. Will they have to bump to Go 1.19 as well? Is it something that they should do? Because if they don't do it, then they have a Go SDK with CVs in it. So we need more details. But, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen like weird, you know, mismatches between like, you know, cryptography libraries and stuff like that and the core Go and everything. So yeah, like that, it's a good call out there. Okay. So I'll check the agenda one more time to make sure there's no more late minute additions. And I'm not seeing any. So, oh yeah, Fabrizio's the hand up. Sorry, go ahead, Fabrizio.
Let me say, just to adding on top of the last 2 points. So let me say, keeping up with this changing happening in the ecosystem, it is work. It requires research work, experimentation, as well as being ready for the intake of the outcome of the working groups like the one that Richard discussed. So I take this opportunity to make another call for volunteers. I think that Cluster API as a project needs more reviewers, more people willing to step in and work on and go up the ladder up to maintainer. And so, yeah, I will start thinking how we can do this. Maybe given that we are at the beginning of the year, it is a good opportunity to go through the current list of reviewers and see if we can make some changes based on the last contribution, or based on people that are willing to step in. So if you are interested, feel free to reach out. There is a lot of work to keep the light on this project and to make it progress. And yeah, we are looking for the help of everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. +1. Okay, so we'll give it one more round here. Any last minute topics, things people would like to add? Going in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So everyone could take 30 minutes of their day back. Thank you so much. And I guess have a good week.